Palestinian protesters clashed with Israeli forces in the West Bank city of Bethlehem following the policy shift, which ended decades of U.S. ambiguity on the status of Jerusalem. Furious Palestinians have called for a day of rage on Friday as protests spread against U.S. President Donald Trump's widely criticized recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. A senior Palestinian official said late Thursday U.S. Vice President Mike Pence was not welcome in Palestine following the policy shift, which ended decades of U.S. ambiguity on the status of the disputed city. But the White House said it would be counterproductive to cancel a scheduled meeting between Pence and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas later this month. Sporadic clashes broke out between Palestinians and Israeli forces on Thursday, as Israel deployed hundreds more troops to the occupied West Bank amid uncertainty over the fallout. Trump's announcement was met by an almost universal diplomatic backlash as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu lavished praise on the president, saying his name would be associated with Jerusalem's long history and urging other countries to follow suit. In a speech in Gaza City, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh called for a new intifada, or uprising. Within hours several projectiles were fired from the Gaza Strip, the Israeli military said. One hit Israeli territory, prompting the Army and Air Force to retaliate by targeting 2 terror posts in Gaza, it said, blaming Hamas, the enclave's Islamist rulers. Sporadic clashes broke out between Palestinians and Israeli forces on Thursday. Demonstrations were held in West Bank cities as well as in Gaza, where 5 Palestinians were wounded from Israeli fire, Gazan authorities said. Israeli forces dispersed tear gas at a checkpoint entrance to Ramallah, while the Palestinian Red Crescent reported 22 wounded from live fire or rubber bullets in the West Bank. Darker times, Trump said his defiant move, making good on a 2016 presidential campaign pledge, marks the start of a new approach to solving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, he said Wednesday. But his willingness to part with international consensus on such a sensitive issue drew increasingly urgent warnings from around the world. Israeli forces dispersed tear gas at a checkpoint entrance to Ramallah, while the Palestinian Red Crescent reported 22 wounded from live fire or rubber bullets in the West Bank. EU diplomatic chief Federica Mogherini said the decision could take the region backwards to even darker times. Russian President Vladimir Putin said he was deeply concerned, calling for the Palestinians and Israel to renew negotiations. And Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said it would put the region in a ring of fire. Not welcome, Pence is due to meet the Palestinian president in the second half of December on a regional tour, but a senior member of Abbas Fatah faction said the leader would not meet him. The American vice president is not welcome in Palestine. And President Abbas will not welcome him, said Jibril Rajoub,